Hi, you're listening to Fluent in Canine. I'm your host, Sarah Ann Reed, holistic dog trainer, animal communicator, and owner of Pack Dynamics. In this episode, I'm going to be having an intuitive chat with dogs as a collective, meaning whoever wants to step up to the mic and answer. And for those of you who are new to the show, when dogs communicate with me intuitively, I see images and videos in my mind. If it's something emotional, I will feel that emotion myself. If it's something physical, I will feel the sensation in my body. For example, a pinching or a throbbing. And then in my mind, they will show me an image of their body and highlight the area they're experiencing that sensation. And it's like feeling the words that they're sharing with me. So it's usually a combination of all of those things. When I talk to dogs as a collective, I am talking to dogs sometimes who have transitioned and crossed over Rainbow Bridge and want to share advice, as well as dogs who are currently having a physical experience and want to share their input as well. I don't go into who I'm talking to because it's only a 30-minute show and they have shared that this is not important. But I usually see a lot of dogs kind of sitting around a table with a mic in the center. So it's always a surprise to me to hear what they have to share. The topic today is separation anxiety. I'm sure there are so many of you listening who may have a dog with separation anxiety and want some more insight. So let's find out what they have to share. As I'm communicating with them, my eyes are closed, which allows me to see their messages more clearly. And my left hand always comes up. I guess it's like picking up the phone to talk to someone. So here we go. Okay. I'm seeing a big round wooden table with a lot of dogs that have stepped up to participate today and help give insight as to why dogs have separation anxiety, really how to see it from their perspective. Okay, thank you. What would you like to share today that would be most helpful for people to know about separation anxiety? Okay. They're saying that dogs display separation anxiety in many different ways. Sometimes people don't realize that their dog has separation anxiety. Okay. Sometimes dogs are pulling the drywall out, right? Because they're so stressed out trying to get through the door to get to you, or pulling off the door frame. Sometimes they'll pull up the carpet trying to dig their way out. Okay. If they're in a crate, they may damage their mouth trying to get out of the crate to get to you, to follow you. They may destroy something in the house because they're so stressed out, they don't know how to handle that anxiety. They could howl while you're gone. They may bark while you're gone. Or they may do something more subtle, even something that you view as cute, like sitting at the window and watching as you leave and staying there until you come back. Or they may sit at the door, right? Okay. All of these ways that we have described are A dog showing that they have concern about you leaving, right? And they want to talk more about, okay, what separation anxiety really is. Okay. People think that a dog having separation anxiety, seeming stressed as you're leaving while you're gone, or even as you're coming through the front door, is because they desperately want to go with you because they love you so much. And you think that they feel like they're missing out on something, and they're missing you while you're gone. And this is a misconception, they say. Okay. The reality is that when a dog is concerned about you in this way, they're showing stress, anxiety as you're leaving, while you're gone, when you come back. They are really concerned about you leaving without them, right? Okay. And they're saying this is going to be such a big shift in perspective for people because, yeah, people think, oh, I'm going to give them a Kong with kibble and seal it with peanut butter, for example, to give them something to occupy them while I'm gone, or I'll give them a bone to chew on. And often the dogs won't even touch that until you come back home. And people are so confused. Well, I left this for you so that you would have something to do while I'm gone. But the dogs are so stressed out. They can't possibly think about eating or doing anything fun while you're gone. So in helping them with separation anxiety, distracting them is not the key. You can't distract them from how they feel. Okay. And the feeling originates from a place of fear and panic. Not because they're being left behind, because in their mind, your home is like being in the comfort of the den, the safe place that they don't have to worry about anything, right? Unless, of course, the dog is afraid of visitors coming into the home, and that's a whole nother topic, they're saying. But for most dogs, they feel safe and comfortable at home, and they're always happiest when the family is together, when you're not separated from each other. And for dogs, even though they're living in our domesticated world now, they are still canines, even though we think of them as our fur babies, our family members. They see us as their pack members, which is still family, but dogs look for boundaries and comfort in different ways than children do, right? So if you are trying to comfort them and explain things to them in a way that you would a child, it actually contributes towards their anxiety and fear because you're making a big deal about something when in the canine world, okay, if you're making a big deal about something, that means there's something to worry about. Okay. And if you are not showing your dog from their perspective that you are taking care of them in a way that makes sense to them, then you're not the equivalent of their dog parent. You're the equivalent of the puppy who can't protect them, can't help them feel safe, and also the puppy who leaves without them out into the scary wide world with the garbage can and the UPS guy and all of the people and all of the other dogs and everything that dogs will never ever understand. Yes. Okay. And they're saying providing good quality food for your dog, taking them on walks and giving them exercise and playing with them, giving them snuggles and lots of affection. That's really wonderful, but that is not showing leadership to your dog in a way that dogs look for leadership and guidance and comfort, right? Okay. So if you are not showing them that you are taking care of them, essentially, right, in a way that dogs understand, then they say, well, oh my goodness, if you're not the decision maker and you're not taking care of me, then I need to take care of you because you're acting like the equivalent of the 2-year-old child or the puppy. So that means that you're probably don't know what you're doing when you leave the house without me. Okay, and they're wanting me to go into more detail about this so that you can understand. Okay, so the way that dogs will show you that they are feeling responsible for taking care of you is if they're constantly barking at things going by your house and you address the barking and they don't stop, right? If you say no bark to them, it's just like barking with them. If they're always trying to bolt through the door in front of you, they feel responsible for getting out first to make sure there aren't any threats out there. If you have multiple dogs in the home and they're pushing each other out of the way as you try to give them affection, that's another way that they're showing you that they feel more in charge. No, you're not getting attention. I'm getting attention, and they'll push another dog out of the way. If they are alerting you to let you know that it's time to feed them, that's another way that they kind of snap their fingers to say, hey, I'm in charge of the food. It's mealtime now. If when you take them out on a walk, they're always leading you, right? Meaning pulling on the leash. That's always their go-to. As they just feel like they need to be in front, you have to constantly correct them, or your arm's just hurting at the end of every walk because they're pulling so much. That's because they don't feel like you are capable of leading them and protecting them when you're outside of the house. They feel like they have to be in front to deal with all of the potential threats, and they feel like they need to lead you. Which is why when you leave the house, they say, well, you don't even own your space in the house. I'm in charge of food because I tell you when to feed me. You don't know how to deal with threats when I alert you by barking to tell you that I've seen someone go past. I always go through the door in front of you. And that means that you think I should deal with the threat. So when you leave the house without me, you don't know what you're doing. You're not capable of making good decisions out there and avoiding all of those things that I absolutely know are scary. The garbage truck, the UPS guy. maybe other dogs, people walking, skateboard, the bicycle, golf cart, right? And people don't realize, okay, that if you look at your dog, if you talk to them, if you give them a big snuggle as you're leaving, and you say goodbye to them, just like you would another family member, right? It's actually causing stress for them. Because even if you say, I love you so much, I'm going to stop at the store and get your favorite treats on the way home, that is not what your dog hears. If you acknowledge them at all, right before you walk out the door, all they know is you just acknowledge them, which is like asking for permission to leave and also saying, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing out there. Is it okay for me to go? I could get lost. I could get injured. I don't know how to find food. I don't even know how to assess threats, let alone avoid them. So you're really saying that you're not quite sure if you're going to make it home alive, right? As you leave. No wonder they try to go through the door with you, or they're waiting at the door, they rush to the window, or they're howling while you're gone. That is so stressful. And they're saying, just take a moment and think about how afraid you would be if you truly thought that every time one of your family members left the house that they may not make it home alive. And just let that sink in for a moment. That is what separation anxiety feels like for dogs. So getting upset with them because they destroyed the couch, or mad at them because you're worried about what the neighbors will think when they're barking while you're gone, that doesn't help them at all. It just stresses them out more, right? And they're wanting me to share this part of the scenario too. When you come home, whether you've been gone for 5 minutes or 5 hours, you probably notice that they seem so excited to see you, right? And you think, well, I just popped to the store to get milk. I was gone like 5 minutes. They act like I've been gone for hours. It's not about how long you were gone, right? It's about who was leaving. Was the equivalent of the puppy leaving, or the 2-year-old child that can't survive on their own? Or did the dog parent leave, the leader? If you come home and they come running up to you, or they're looking at you, and you look at them, give them a pet, talk to them, give them any attention, as soon as you walk through the door, you may feel like you're saying hello to them. Hi, honey, I miss you so much. I love you. I love it when you come rushing up to me and you greet me like this. It just makes my day. I feel so loved. When the truth behind it is, your dog is rushing up to you just like you would if a 2-year-old child had been out there on their own for hours on the streets, and you thought, oh my gosh, they don't know how to ask for help. They don't know the address. They weren't wearing a coat. They were out there on their own. Anything could have happened to them. If they miraculously make it back to your house, and keep in mind, you couldn't follow them when they left, when they toddled out through the front door. There was no way you could follow them. You had to wait and hope that they made it home alive. When they come through the front door, you're not going to say, oh, good, honey, you're home. Are you hungry? Would you like something to eat? You're going to rush over and say, oh my goodness, honey, where have you been? What happened? Are you injured? Is everything okay? I was so worried about you. I've been so frantic. I couldn't focus on anything. I was just praying that you would make it home alive. That is how your dog feels when they come rushing up to you. They're not rushing up to mom or dad and saying, "Yippee, you're home. I missed you so much." They're rushing up to assess you. Where have you been? What did you do? Who did you do it with? Sniffing you. Are you injured? Is everything okay? And if you acknowledge them at all, you look at them, you talk to them, you pet them, as soon as you come through the door when they're feeling stressed like that, that is like saying to your dog, "Oh my gosh, I barely made it home with my life. Oh, I didn't know what I was doing out there. I almost died. Oh, it was so scary." And they are going to think, "Yeah, I know. I see scary things out there all the time." Right? So without meaning to, they're saying you're stressing your dogs out and causing them to worry about you. When in fact, you're trying to do the most loving thing ever. Because if a child came running up to you to say hello and you didn't acknowledge them, they would be devastated. And because our dogs mean so much to us, they're saying, yeah, you treat your dogs like children, forgetting that they are a different species, even though they live in your home. Okay. Okay. Would you like me to share about that? Okay. So they're saying you don't need to completely ignore them, right? Just think of it like a delayed greeting. Just wait for a little while. Wait for 5 minutes. After you come home, just walk in carrying your groceries or whatever you need to. Come in, turn on the kettle, hang up your coat, do something for a little while without acknowledging them. Just wait until they calm down for a few minutes and have stopped trying to get your attention. And then calmly call them over and say hello. And you will find that if you allow them to change their mind, because they're showing, your dog's wheels will start turning and they'll say, "Oh, you didn't come home in a panic? You always come home in a panic. What's going on here?" They might follow you around a little bit. They might be looking at you a lot because everything's changed. They're used to worrying about you and you coming through the door, essentially saying to them, "I barely made it home alive," right? So if you come in without acknowledging them, you're actually giving them comfort. I didn't have to deal with anything scary out there. I know what I'm doing. You don't need to worry about me. I'm taking care of you, not the other way around. That's what you're communicating to them when you come home. So as their wheels turn and they change their mind about you, so that they start to see you as their dog mom or dog dad when you come home, and you allow them to move into a place of feeling relaxed and calm and really enjoying that feeling of, maybe I don't need to worry about you every time you leave my sight. When you call them over to say hello, now they're getting affection from their dog parent rather than the toddler or the puppy, which feels very different. And they also want me to share this as well. When you leave, it's very important that you don't say goodbye. Because if you look at them, if you talk to them, if you give them a pet as you're leaving, as they've already shared, that's like saying, "Yeah, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to make it home alive. I don't know what I'm doing out there. And the dogs are saying, this is going to be hard for you not to say goodbye. But say goodbye earlier than when you actually leave. So maybe an hour before you leave or half an hour before you leave, you call your dog over and you take a few minutes or however long you want to, and you give them a nice big snuggle. And in your mind, you know that this is your goodbye snuggle so that you don't stress them out when you actually walk through the front door and leave, right? So when you actually leave, you don't look at them, you don't talk to them, you don't give them a hug goodbye. You just leave like the confident leader or parent that isn't concerned about anything because you've got it handled, which means they don't have to worry about you the whole time that you're gone. Imagine how different their life will be, how much more relaxed they will feel while you're gone, knowing that they don't have to worry about you getting hurt, dying, barely making it home alive. This is such a shift for humans, they're saying. And you may feel a lot of resistance. You may feel like you don't want to do this because you like getting the affection when your dog comes home. It's what you look forward to. And the dogs are holding the mic and they're saying, it really comes down to how much you love your dog. Do you love your dog enough to change the way you interact with them so that they can feel happier and more relaxed within themselves? Can you put them first and say to yourself, I can have my goodbye snuggle half an hour before I leave. That will still feel good to me. I'm getting what I need. And they're feeling supported because I'm communicating with them in a way that makes sense to them so they're not stressed all the time. And then when I come home, I can love them enough to just wait for a few minutes. Of course, I can answer a text message. I can hang up my coat. I can put my things away. I can turn on the kettle. I can take care of a couple emails. I can do a few things when I come home and wait for them to settle and relax before I call them over to say hello. Because I love my dog and I don't want them to feel stressed if I can change their mind and change how they feel about me leaving. So they're saying now that you understand how you've been affecting your dog with your behavior, the key to resolving separation anxiety is not stopping your dog from doing anything. It's about changing what you do, how you interact with them, so that your dog can start to feel differently. Your dog is not being quote unquote a bad dog because they're howling or barking while you're gone, or because they destroy something while you're gone. They are showing you that they're terrified and they're panicked. They're stressed. They're truly, truly worried about you every time you leave their sight. And it is, they're saying it is your job as a dog parent to step outside of yourself and recognize that while your dog is a family member that is loved and treasured, they are precious to you. They speak a different language. They do not understand English, and they never will. You may be able to teach them a word here and there with repetition and positive feedback, but it doesn't mean that they understand a full sentence, right? Okay, and there's some more here that they want to share about this. Okay, for dogs who have been abandoned in the past. Most rescue dogs, right? Well, all rescue dogs have been abandoned at some point or another. They went from mom and siblings to being separated from the only family they ever knew, to then being adopted, going into a home, going to a shelter, going to a rescue organization, maybe being adopted again, being returned to the rescue. Even if it's only happened once, this is so stressful for dogs. Okay. If they have just been dumped off at the shelter or dropped off at someone's house who's going to foster them with a bag of dog food and not much else, no transitional time to adjust. It is such a horrible experience for the dog to be yanked out of their home, put into especially a shelter where all of the dogs are stressed. They're all stressed. They've all been abandoned. They've all gone through something, maybe been abused, neglected, and they're all feeling stressed together. They're saying it would be very hard for a human to understand how extremely traumatic this is for a dog. Okay. And when they are adopted, it's very important that people recognize just because you've brought them home doesn't mean that all of that anxiety goes away. As we've said before, feeding us good food, taking us on walks, playing with us, snuggling with us on the couch, that doesn't take away that fear that it could happen again. Well, I'm with you now, but when are you going to leave me? Or when am I going to be taken back to that place that neglected me or abused me? Where am I going to be now? It can take months for a dog to learn to feel safe and comfortable. And yes, and the dogs are saying, there are so many wonderful, amazing dogs who are adopted, brought home, and then because they have separation anxiety and they're struggling because they're panicked and they're stressed and they're afraid of being abandoned again, they are dealing with it. And the only way that dogs know how, having what people have termed as behavioral issues, which is just a dog showing that they're feeling stressed and overwhelmed. Yeah. Okay. Maybe howling while you're gone, destroying furniture. Instead of coming from a place of compassion and understanding and realizing, oh my goodness, of course this poor dog is stressed out. This is their third home that they've been in, and they're a year and a half or however old they are, right? Really doesn't matter. Of course they're stressed out. You know, we realize that they can't be left alone. So we're going to take them to doggy daycare on the way to work and pick them up when we come home. Or we're going to have someone come and stay with them. We're going to take them to our friend's house that works from home so that they're never left at home until we can resolve this separation anxiety, which can take months to resolve. It can take 4 to 6 months to resolve, right? And it takes work. It takes a lot of consistency and patience. And the dogs are saying, if you can hang in there and you can love these dogs as they are and hold this safe space for them. They're showing a nest. You're holding this safe space for them to allow them to relax and know that this is their forever home, that you will meet them where they are. You will honor their feelings. You will try to understand what they're thinking, what they need, and you will do whatever you can to support them and feeling safe and understood and accepted and respected. And you put in a little time every day with training, specifically helping them with separation anxiety and everything else that they shared too. All of that contributes towards separation anxiety. If you can change the way you interact with them, they will reward you by coming out of their shell, out of their cocoon. Like a butterfly, you will see them evolve and grow and change, and you will, over time, you'll see who they really are. You'll see them feel more relaxed and calm in themselves. They'll feel more playful. They'll be more affectionate. You'll see who they really are by giving them a chance to learn to feel truly safe. Is there anything else that you want to share about this? Okay, they're showing me a clock. It feels like our time is up. And they're saying this is a really good start for you to begin to understand what separation anxiety really is, what contributes towards it, and the beginnings of how to start helping your dog not feel so stressed when you leave the house. And they're saying, again, we know that this is a complete change in the way that you look at things. But if you continue to acknowledge them right before you leave and as soon as you come home, they will never, they will never change their mind about you. They will always have separation anxiety. You can't explain it to them. Oh, and there's one more thing. Sometimes dogs need additional help. To help heal that trauma of being abandoned. Sometimes they need additional healing to really address that wound. And is there something you can share that people can do right now? Okay. They're saying something that you can do is, yes, okay, sit with your dog, maybe once a day. You just sit with them, and in your mind, you're showing them an image of your family with them included. However this feels to you, maybe it's everyone in a circle holding hands and your dog is holding hands with the family members too, or your dog is in the center of the circle and everyone is beaming love towards the dog, and you're seeing this in your mind with hearts coming towards the dog, right? So it's very important. In your mind, you imagine what it feels like to be part of a family, whatever image that is for you. You bring that up. Your dog is included in this image, and you communicate with them through this image and your feelings what you would like to share with your dog. We love you so much. You're always going to be part of our family. We see you. We understand that you need to feel safe, and we love you. We accept you just as you are, and we're going to help you. We're going to help you realize that this is your forever family. And we're holding this space for you to heal. And we're not in a rush. You take all the time you need. We're patient. We love you. We've got you. If you can have this intuitive conversation really with your dog, you can say it out loud if you need to. The important thing is bringing the image in your mind, including your dog in this image, because dogs are very intuitive. They can feel the images that we're sharing with them. It's the easiest way to communicate with them. And if you share your feelings with this image, they will feel that too. And it truly will, yes, it truly will help your dog. Okay, they're wanting me to share this with you. I myself adopted a dog just over 6 months ago. She had been abandoned. She was completely traumatized by it. And I had these little chats with her every day for about 2 months. And after a couple of months, I saw such a big change in her. She was more comfortable receiving affection. She started to understand how to play. She was way more playful. And she was just more settled in herself and grounded. And I could tell that she finally knew in the core of her being that this was her forever home, that I was always going to be her mom. And it's the most beautiful gift that you can give a dog, to know how to truly help them and help them know that they're not going anywhere, that they will always be your fur baby. And they're saying this is a good story to end on. Thank you so much for all of your insight and advice. You've been listening to Fluent in Canine. If you're interested to find out more, please check out the website packdynamics.com. And there's an online training program that walks you through this whole process, how to see the world from their perspective, how to learn how to help them with separation anxiety and many other typical behavioral issues. Until next time.